Have you ever found yourself sitting in a quiet room, phone in hand, waiting for a message that never comes? Maybe it's been days, even weeks, since your son or daughter last called. You start to wonder, did I say something wrong? Am I no longer important to them? The silence stings, not because you need attention, but because you're human. You've poured so much of your life, love, and energy into your children, and now it feels like you've been left behind. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people, especially those of us who are in our 60s and beyond, struggle with this emotional disconnect from their adult children. And it's hard because it goes against everything we were taught about family. That love is returned, that effort is appreciated, and that closeness continues as we age. But here's a truth that can be both comforting and empowering. You don't have to be a victim of this silence. There are things you can do, not to manipulate, guilt, or chase, but to reclaim your peace, preserve your dignity, and maybe even spark change in the relationship, without ever raising your voice. In this video, we're going to gently walk through 11 powerful rules to follow when you feel like your kids are ignoring you. These aren't rules to punish or to withdraw love. They're rules to protect your energy, rebuild your sense of worth, and shift the focus back to what you can actually control: yourself. Let's start right here. Sometimes the most liberating thing you can do is take a deep breath and put your kids out of your mind. Not forever, not with bitterness, but as an act of self-preservation. This doesn't mean you stop loving them or that you pretend nothing hurts. It means you stop centering your entire emotional well-being around what they say or don't say. When the calls don't come, when the invitations stop, you have a choice. Spiral into sadness or gently shift your attention towards something that brings you joy. Try asking yourself this: what do I want for me right now? Is there a hobby you abandoned years ago? A recipe you've always wanted to master? A walk around the neighborhood that clears your head? These are not distractions. They're small, healing acts of self-respect. You've earned the right to prioritize your own joy, not just theirs. And while you're turning inward, let's talk about emotional reactions. When you feel ignored by your kids, it's natural to feel angry, hurt, even rejected. Maybe you feel the urge to send a text that starts with, "I guess you're too busy for your mother." Or, "Don't worry, I won't bother you again." But here's the problem. Emotional reactions usually push people further away. Instead, what if you paused, just for a moment? What if you reminded yourself, "I can feel this hurt without acting on it right now"? That space between emotion and reaction, that's where your power lives. When you respond with calm, when you choose your words thoughtfully, you become someone who is steady, grounded, and harder to dismiss. And yes, your children may notice that shift. But more importantly, you will feel it. You'll feel proud of how you handled the moment, and that pride is worth everything. Of course, sometimes silence needs to be met with silence, not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. If your child isn't returning your calls or texts, you don't need to keep sending more. Let them sit with the silence. Let them feel the space that your voice usually fills. Often that absence speaks louder than any message you could write. This isn't about playing games. It's about protecting your peace. When someone pulls away, especially someone you love, the most dignified thing you can do is let them. Not chase, not beg, just allow. And in that space, turn back to the life you're building outside of them. And that brings us to something a lot of people overlook: fun. Yes, fun. When was the last time you truly laughed? Not out of politeness or habit, but because something genuinely made your heart light again? It's easy to lose that sense of fun when you're hurt, but finding it again is healing. Go to the movies with an old friend. Take a day trip to a nearby town. Start a puzzle that takes over the whole dining room table. These aren't just ways to pass the time. They're reminders that your life is still full of beauty, even when someone else is absent. And when you start living like that, when you start doing things for you, not in reaction to them, your energy changes. You begin to glow again. And people notice that. Not just your kids, but others too. That's when you start building something much more powerful than attention. Your social standing. Now, I don't mean status in a flashy, showy way. I mean the quiet confidence that comes from being involved, respected, and active in your own community. Maybe it's volunteering at the library or your church. Maybe it's joining a book club or taking a class at the senior center. Every time you step into the world with curiosity and confidence, you're rewriting the story of who you are now, not just who you were to your children when they were small. Because here's something nobody tells you. The more you invest in your own life, the less control that silence from others has over you. You become harder to ignore. Not because you're louder, but because you're living well. And that's deeply attractive, not just to your children, but to new friends, new opportunities, and new joys. You might even be surprised by how your children eventually respond. People tend to take notice when you stop chasing and start thriving. But even if they don't, even if the silence continues, you'll be standing on solid ground. And that's what this is all about. Not fixing them, but fortifying you. So when the silence creeps in again, and it probably will, just remember, it doesn't have to shake you. You've learned how to pull your energy back. You've learned not to react in ways that drain your spirit. And you've found ways to enjoy your days. Not because someone remembered to call, but because you remembered how to live. When your kids stop responding, it's easy to question yourself. Was I too much? Not enough? Did I fail in some way? But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your value is not up for debate. It doesn't rise or fall based on someone else's silence. It's measured by your character, your kindness, your wisdom, and your ability to keep showing up for life, even when others don't show up for you. There's something incredibly powerful about carrying yourself with quiet dignity. You don't need to announce your achievements or beg to be seen. Just by living with integrity, by staying kind and engaged, you're already showing the world and yourself that you matter, that you're still vibrant, still capable, still needed. But let's be honest. Sometimes it's not just about standing tall. It's about knowing when to walk away. If your efforts to connect are met with continued silence, it may be time to cut communication, at least for a while. That doesn't mean slamming doors or burning bridges. It means choosing peace over chasing. It means no longer putting your heart on the line where it's not being treated with care. Instead of sending another unanswered message, close your phone and go for a walk. Instead of calling again, call someone who does lift your spirit. An old friend, a cousin, a neighbor. You're not giving up on love. You're simply choosing not to exhaust yourself trying to carry a conversation all on your own. And remember, stepping back isn't rejection. It's self-respect. You deserve a relationship that flows both ways, not one that keeps you hanging in uncertainty. If or when they're ready, your door can still be open. But you don't have to stand at it, waiting. You can be inside, living your life. Now here's something you must never do. Beg for attention. Don't ask, "Why haven't you called me?" Don't text, "I miss you. Do you not miss me?" Don't guilt them, no matter how much it hurts. Because every time you plead for their time or their love, you chip away at your own confidence. And trust me, your worth is too great for that. Instead, show them you've been busy, because you have been. You've been building a life that doesn't rely on their approval. If they reach out one day, respond kindly, but don't rush. Let your reply come from a place of calm, not desperation. Maybe something like, "Good to hear from you. I've been keeping busy with some things I really enjoy." That one line says everything. I'm doing fine. I'm not sitting around waiting. I have a life, and I'm living it. That leads beautifully into the next rule. Prove it through action. You don't need long speeches or dramatic moments to show your strength. You just need to live it. Actions always speak louder than emotions. So take up that new hobby, plan that short trip, plant that garden, volunteer once a week. Show, don't tell, that you're thriving. You might be surprised how often this silent strength sends a ripple effect. When people see you glowing again, when your days are full and your spirit is strong, they start to notice. And maybe your kids do too. Not because you demanded their attention, but because you showed them what a fulfilling life looks like with or without it. And sometimes, silence is the most powerful message you can send. This kind of silence isn't cold or punishing, it's strategic. It gives both you and your kids space. If they go quiet for a while, don't rush to fill that void. Let it breathe. If they do reach out after a long pause, take a moment. You don't have to respond immediately. You get to choose your timing. That doesn't mean playing games. It means being thoughtful, grounded, and self-respecting. When you do respond, keep it light, polite, and clear. Hi, just saw your message. Hope all's well. No drama, no guilt, just grace. And if they ask why you've been distant, you can simply say, I've been focusing on myself lately. That's not a jab. That's the truth. Choosing when and how to respond puts the power back in your hands. You're not ignoring them back. You're choosing peace over pressure. Now, one of the hardest but most important parts, don't let them see you struggle. This doesn't mean you pretend everything is perfect. It just means you don't let their silence control your mood or your actions. You can cry in private. You can confide in trusted friends. But when it comes to the relationship itself, stay calm and composed. If they ignore your message, don't send another asking, "Did you get my text?" If you see them posting photos with others while they haven't returned your call, don't comment or make passive remarks. It's okay to feel hurt, but let that hurt transform into strength, not reaction. When you stay composed, even in disappointment, you're modeling something powerful. Not just for them, but for yourself. You're saying, I may not be getting the response I hoped for, but I'm still standing. I'm still whole. Your kids may come around, they may not, but you don't need to carry that uncertainty every day. What you can carry is your own calm, your own grace, your own beautiful life. And if no one has told you this in a while, let me say it now. You're doing better than you think. You're stronger than you realize. You're not invisible. You're valuable. You matter. You may not always get the apology, the explanation, or the affection you hoped for from your children. But what you can get, what you do deserve, is peace. And one of the most powerful ways to keep that peace is to stop seeking approval from those who withhold it. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop chasing. Because let's be honest, when you reach a certain age, you start to see life differently. The things you once thought were urgent begin to lose their grip. And what really matters comes into focus. Your health, your time, your joy, your purpose. If someone chooses not to see you, you don't have to shrink to fit into their field of vision. You can stand tall, you can walk on, and you can live fully. And sometimes, in that process of moving forward, you do more to repair the relationship than begging or explaining ever could. Still, there are moments when the silence feels like judgment. When it seems like they've made up their minds about who you are or what you mean to them. Maybe they think you're overbearing, irrelevant, or out of touch. Maybe they've built up an image of you that doesn't match the truth. That's where quiet persistence becomes your greatest tool. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't try to force them to see your side. Just keep being exactly who you are and let your actions speak for you. Surprise them, not with gifts or guilt, but with your growth. If they see you differently now, give them a reason to adjust that view. Let your life quietly disprove the assumptions they've made. Maybe they thought you wouldn't adapt to change, but here you are, learning something new. Maybe they assumed you'd crumble under distance, but here you are, standing strong. You don't have to shout to be seen. Sometimes the best way to be heard is to live well. Of course, one of the hardest things to do, especially for a parent, is to go quiet. But used wisely, silence can be a form of strength, not spite. If your child sends a message after weeks of ignoring yours, take a breath before replying. Ask yourself, what do I hope to achieve with this response? Is it to reconnect? To vent? To express love? Whatever your reason, let it be guided by calm intention, not emotional urgency. And if you're not sure how to respond right away, you don't have to. You're not obligated to drop everything just because someone suddenly remembers you exist. That doesn't make you unkind, it makes you balanced. Your silence, when it comes from a place of self-awareness and not punishment, can speak volumes. It says, I'm not desperate. I'm not broken. I'm thoughtful. I'm protecting my peace. There's a certain beauty in becoming unshakable. Not cold. Not distant. Just centered. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop letting their attention, or lack of it, define your days, you'll find yourself feeling stronger than you have in years. That brings us to one final truth. Never let them see you lose yourself. You are not just a parent. You are not just someone's mother or father. You are a whole person with dreams, wisdom, and experiences that are still unfolding. If your kids can't see that right now, let them learn it on their own. Don't fall apart just to get them to look back. When they see you laughing, learning, exploring, creating, when they see you living, they'll remember who you are. Not the version of you that waits quietly by the phone, but the one who once taught them strength, independence, and how to stand tall in this world. And even if they never see it, you will know. You'll know that you chose self-respect over self-pity, that you turned silence into serenity, that you used their absence not as an ending, but as an opening for something new. So if you're feeling invisible, don't shrink. Shine. Take that walk. Read that book. Join that group. Sing that song. Go on that trip. Spend time with people who love you now, not just people you used to raise. And never forget, your worth is not measured by who reaches out. It's measured by how you rise up. So keep rising, keep loving, keep living. And if this message speaks to your heart, take a moment to let others know they're not alone. Share your story in the comments. You never know who might be comforted by your words. And if you found value here, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Strong Elderly Life. We're building a place where wisdom is celebrated, where age is seen as power, not limitation, and where no one has to feel left behind. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for choosing peace. Here's to living your best life, no matter who shows up or who doesn't. We'll see you next time.